Number 8. So what balloons do I actually get? Do I have the right supplies? There's so much stuff out there. Okay. So I'm going to take it at this moment. If you're watching this video, either you bought some cheap balloons, a cheap pump, or you haven't bought anything yet. Maybe I'm wrong. That'd be great. I hate to be the one that busts your bubble on this concern. Cheap supplies don't work in balloons. They're making out of cheaper latex or poor quality or latex that has more weaknesses in them through the process. Same with pumps. Now you can every now and then find a hand pump for $5. With pumps, if they're a hand pump, you want something that's a double pump. So if you push in or pull out, it inflates the balloon. You don't want one that is a one-way pump. They don't work. You'll get very frustrated. It's double the work, half the effort. And frankly, while the balloon is waiting to go to the next bubble, it's going to get soft, and it's just, if you need to get a hand pump, get one that's a double pump. If you're taking balloons more seriously and you've gotten comfortable with using the hand pump, there's other options after that. There's a couple companies that make PVC pipe ones where you stand and you push down and either the nozzle shoots them out or up. Those are great. Especially if you are a twister who stands up while twisting, it's all right there. They're a bit on the pricey side, and they can take a while to get them because usually the few companies that do make them, it's guys who are making them out of their workshops. They make great things, don't get me wrong, but they sometimes can take a while to get your hands on one. The other option is electric pumps or battery power pumps. And there's a lot of different varieties on there, on Amazon and other places that you can get. Find one that has good reviews. But again, don't spend too much to get started, but you want to spend probably between $30 and $60 once you get to that point. And it will save your arms because you're not pumping. It will let you just focus on the balloon. If I was not a mouth inflator, that's what I would do. Okay, let's talk about mouth inflating. I don't recommend it. If you're just getting started or if you're under the age of 18, I'm going to be honest with you. Don't do it. There's health concerns. There's challenges. There's problems with it. Do I mouth inflate? Yes. And I know what that sounds like, me saying don't do it. But let me explain. When I first started doing balloons, we didn't really have pumps. 35 years ago, there just wasn't what we have now. There wasn't electric pumps at all. And even the PVC pipe ones, my dad had to make mine, and it was really heavy, very awkward to use. And half the time, it didn't work because the seal would come undone. And hand pumps just were not a thing back then. So back then, if you were going to be a serious balloon artist, balloon twister, most likely eventually, if you could, you learn how to do it by mouth. And there's a method that I used to learn that was taught to me, and I do teach it occasionally, but it takes about a month of at least 5 minutes a day to train your lungs how to breathe the right way by doing things in a particular order, and it takes time and commitment. Here's why not to. I've had people who take in my balloons without my permission and try to blow them up. One gentleman in particular, who's actually a friend of mine, and he tried so hard, he passed out. He was at a restaurant, and his head hit the table, the chair, and then the floor. Yeah, he passed out. Not pretty. There's other reasons also. Especially if your lungs aren't developed yet, it can cause damage. When I did my world records for most balloons blown up by mouth and made in animals in 24 hours, the first time I did it at 6,176, and then a gentleman beat me, and then I beat him, and I got it at 8,298. That's from the first time. The thing is Guinness, when they first discussed with me, and it took several years for them to say they would look at the record, classified it in the same danger level as jumping over cars with a motorcycle. Okay, That sounds a little extreme. Blowing up balloons by mouth, jumping over cars with a motorcycle. But this was their concern. The human lungs are a very precise tool. They're made to be used for one thing, to take air in, let air out, okay? It's not meant to be pressurized that much for that long. In 24 hours, that's a lot of blowing up balloons. So if you don't do it by mouth, I would recommend you don't. We have wonderful tools nowadays. And truthfully, I'm getting to a point where I'm really considering going to an electric pump if I can find one that will work for my needs. Unfortunately, up to this point, I haven't found one that can keep up with me because I've become one with my lungs. It's very natural for me to blow it up, twist it, and it's all one motion. I need to find a pump that can help me and not hurt me and slow me down. Hopefully, I'll find one of those someday. Hey, any companies out there who make electric pumps and want to send one my way, please. I'd love to try them out and give my honest feedback on it, and I'll be fair. Let's see who can do a quicker 100 balloons. But as far as supplies come, find yourself a hand pump. You can find them from Amazon. There's a couple companies that make a double-sided hand pump, and use that to practice with. Yes, it will take you a bunch of pumps to blow it all the way up, but it will work. You can get one, again, probably under 10 bucks, 5 to 10 bucks, I'm guessing. And you'll have it with you. Recommend get a couple in case one breaks. That way you have it ready to go. So what about the other supplies? So I recommend you go to a reputable balloon company, most likely online. Now, there are some wholesalers that are in different states. I know there's one in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I know there's one in Livonia, Michigan. I know there's some in, I think there's one in Denver, Colorado when I used to live down there. There's balloon places that you can look up wholesale balloon supplies, or there's mail orders. I get mine from a place called Bargain Balloons. They're online. They're based in Canada, I believe close to Toronto area. And they have 3 or 4 of the major balloon companies. They don't have all of them. And they're the only place that you can get in North America the balloon brand Decamex, which is the main balloon supply that I use right now. Looking at some other brands, but that's the one that so far I've been happy overall with most of their colors and how they feel. But what I would recommend is contact Bargain Balloons, go on their website. You're going to look up 260s, 2-inch diameter, 60 inches long. And you're going to look up their assorted colors. Get a couple different brands. The reason why I want you to get a couple different brands, especially if you can get like their traditional assortments that has, the red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violets, because I want you to compare them. Some balloons brands are softer. Some are really soft to the point where I don't like them because they're so soft that I feel like I'm going to break them just by touching them. There's other brands like Decamex and Calkin, I believe is the one that does this kind with a mirror gloss on them, that they're very firm. A lot of people don't like how firm they are, especially if they're building up their hands. I like them because I am extremely rough on my balloons. If you see my videos, you see that I twist hard and I twist fast. I am not gentle on my balloons at all, and I am okay with that. And thankfully, my balloons are too. So by getting several different brands, you're going to be able to try, see what you like to feel, how they feel, how they blow up for you. Again, if I was using a pump, and especially a hand pump, I might use a different brand than I do for mouth inflating. Because for mouth inflating, one of the most important things for me is I need a good lip. Some balloons have a very shallow lip, which is very hard to hold with your mouth. Other brands have a very thick lip, which makes it really easy for me to hold in my mouth and give just enough air, space for the air to get out while still holding in place. You're also going to be able to see colors. ooh, I like this red compared to this red. Or this blue versus this blue. I want a dark blue, I want a lighter blue. Those are all things that each brand has a little bit different how they look. Now, there are some people who have made an amazing list, and you can find them online sometimes, especially if you're part of the Facebook groups, where they have taken every brand and every color and have made a very complete list and saying, okay, this brand's robin egg blue is similar to this dusty blue or gray blue or things like that. And especially if you're a decorator, you need to know how all those colors work together. Me, I usually like having 3 shades of orange, 3 shades of red. So I have a dark orange, a light orange, and a regular orange, so that I have some variety. But if you're just getting started, get the assorteds. Get a couple different brands, experiment with them, try them out, try a couple different companies to order balloons from, see which ones you like, see which ones, some give you better discounts if you order, let's say, order a couple $100s worth of balloons. They will take a percentage off your order, plus they'll give you free shipping. My company that I mainly get from, Bargain Balloons, doesn't matter how many balloons you order, there's no extra discount because their prices are already lower than a lot of places, but it's $8 no matter how many balloons for shipping. So if I buy 1 bag of balloons, $8 for shipping. If I buy 30 bags of balloon, it's $8 from shipping. So figure out what works for you. But again, main thing is start off with the 260, try some different brands, get some different color variety in there, get a pump that you can get comfortable with, and then the last real tool that you really need for supplies, because you can figure out different ways of storing your balloons, and you can keep them in the bag, especially if you're just getting started, just keep them in the bags. Look for the color you need. For me, I organize my balloons by color. I put them in bunches of 50 when I start them off, and then I put them in my bag so that I have them in easy for access and I know where the colors are based on how I hold my bag. You don't need to worry about that to start off with. Use clear plastic bags to sort them out if you want. That's how I started. I started with a suitcase with little compartments with plexi cardboard, that white cardboard plastic stuff. And I made compartments. I've used so many different ways over the years. Some people use aprons to walk around with their balloons. Don't worry about that right now. The main supplies you need to get started are a pump to inflate them, the balloons themselves, and after that, a marker. The good old standby, highly recommend. They haven't changed their formula in years, thankfully, is Sharpie. Now, they make a lot of different types. I recommend the standard fine point, because if you use the extra fine point with the metal, it can break a balloon if you push too hard. They dry quickly. You can buy an assortment of them, especially when school year starts, or a couple of different times a year, they'll have big deals where they end up being like 50 cents a marker or less. And they have a wide variety of colors. The other thing with Sharpies is they do have like the thick tips. The chisel tips is what they're called, which gives you some variety. I can get my big marks, or I can use just the point there and get a fine detail. They don't come in as many colors, but they work well. Now, Sharpie has recently released their creative markers, which has kind of like a paint tip to it. I like these colors. They're vibrant, they're good. One concern with them though, they don't dry quickly. So if I'm making something, okay, and I make my mark, and if I even let that dry in the same time that I take a regular, here's the thing, the red one that I just used already dried to the touch, okay? The blue one, not. So if you're twisting it, you might smudge it, it might come undone. I also know that they don't stay permanently as well. There's some things that they work really good for, and especially if it's something you're making that your kids aren't going to be touching, it's more of a display piece. I love those. Now there is one other marker that I really like having. It is a Sharpie. And I believe I have one in my bag here. Let's see. Oh, maybe it fell out. Let's see. Yep. But it is a Sharpie white marker. It's a paint marker. And the nice thing about it that I like, here it is. It's a thick paint. You have to give it a little shake. Okay. It almost comes out like a whiteout. But once that's dry, again, it takes a little bit. It makes a great background, okay, for your other color to really stand out. Okay. So Sharpie is the brand that I mainly recommend. Now there are some other ones, Marcolot, they've been around forever. What you'll find out though is some balloons or some markers have a higher acid content, which is great for a marker because that alcohol, the acid will disperse in the air pretty quick. So, which is great. Alcohol, fine with a marker. I don't like the smell necessarily of them. Sharpies have a pretty low smell, but that alcohol doesn't eat through the balloon. That alcohol does eat through a balloon. A Sharpie doesn't. So if you're thinking about trying some different markers, especially if you already have some at home, main thing is permanent marker. Make sure it's not alcohol-based marker. And try it out on a few balloons and give it a day to see what it does to them. If you make a mark like this on them and 24 hours later, it still looks the same, the balloon hasn't busted or the bubble hasn't gotten really small because now the micro particles of the air are slowly leaking out, then it's perfectly fine to use. But that's just a little tidbit. So the 3 supplies that you need to worry about when you first get started: balloons, marker, way to inflate the balloons. You can get a full setup to start off for under 20 bucks. That's probably a couple hundred balloons. That's a cheap pump and a couple markers, which you probably already have. Look at different brands for your balloons. Different balloons, brands cost different amounts. Also look for the quantity in each bundle. Some are going to be what's called nozzle up. So when you get your bag of balloons, they're going to have all the nozzles already pointed straight up. So you don't need to mix through them to get them all the same way if you're going to put them like this, which is great. And it does save time. And sometimes I'll do that. But other times it saves you $1 to not do it that way. And truthfully, I can just strain them out while I'm watching TV or something like that and save that money. It's a convenience thing. If I have them pre-made, and I think I have one in here. I think I got my dark blue that's that way. Let me see real quick. Yep. Oh, well, this is what they look like. This is Calisan. This is the mirror version of the balloons, okay? Calisan. And they'll have 50 balloons in here, and all the nozzles are automatically straight up. This is great if you're willing to pay for the convenience, because you just open it up, throw it right in your bag. You don't need to spend time sorting them, organizing them. Decamex, I got to sort through them. But what I like about them is 50 of them are pretty much one way, 50 of them are the other way. I just have to, all the nozzles go this side, all the nozzles go this way, separate them, and I'm good to go. It doesn't take me that long to do my sorting. But again, I'd rather save a little money and get the balloons I need the way I want them. All right, so those are your supplies. Got any questions? Feel free to leave a comment.